Hey there, hello and welcome. It is Madeline here, and tonight I want to talk to you about the sheep and the stupid. Are they sheep or are they just stupid? And they're neither, okay? So this is coming up for me because at my last Make Americans Free Again meeting, I'm preparing for the next Make Americans Free Again meeting, or MAFA. And one or more of the group members said, "Oh my God," in reference to their loved ones, their colleagues, their friends. They said, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe how stupid they are." And that same week, another colleague of mine referred to the general public as sheeple, and I just cringe on the inside. And no judgment, I ain't mad at you. I've used those terms. I may have been reminded that I've said those things in the past, and I've since come around to another level of awareness that I'd like to share with you, that I shared with my group members at the time, and they said was helpful. So I'd like to share that with you tonight, or whenever it is that you're watching this, whatever time of day it is when you're watching this. So if so our friends, our loved ones, they're not sheep, and they're certainly not stupid. Some of the people who are closest to me are some of the most intelligent people that I know. They have a lot of common sense, yet their views on what's going on in the world today are the complete opposite of mine, right? So, and if you've been hanging out with me for any length of time, I think you know what position I take, and my friends and family, many of my friends and family, have the complete opposite belief, which is that they are believing the mainstream narrative. Okay, so a couple of things. So there's a few things going on here, right? Based on my understanding and my experience that I hope will serve you. And the first thing is that a lot of the population, maybe your friends and family included, are brainwashed or have been induced into a cult like mentality, right? So I know those are strong words, and I'm not going to get into that today, but I do want to share that Pam Popper did a series on this, two or three video series on how one is brainwashed, and she directly linked it to what's going on in the world today, what's been going on for the past 15 months. And in short, right, the acronym for how one brainwashes or gets brainwashed is BITE. Okay, so the first one is you control and or direct, the BITE. And the B is behavior, right? The I is you control or direct information. The T is you control and direct thoughts, the individual's thoughts. And the E is you control and or direct the individual's emotions, right? So BITE. And in Pam's videos, which I highly recommend that you watch, they're on BitChute because they're too controversial for other mainstream media, other media outlets. And she did a two or three, and they're short videos, 10, 15 minutes each, and they're fascinating. And she directly links each of these items, right? Behavior, information, thoughts, and emotions into how whoever the powers that be have gotten the general population to go along with this narrative that is creating and perpetuating the current crisis. Right? I'm going to try not to say those words that get my hand slapped on Facebook, so I can continue to come to you without interruption and without editing. Some of my videos have been taken down, so I don't want that. I don't want that to happen. So what I want to talk to you specifically, though, is about the E part, right? The emotions. So our friends, which is what really helped the individual, a couple of the people in my MAFA, Make Americans Free Again group, right? Our friends and family, the general population, have been in fear response for the past 15 months, right? It started in March of 2020, and they have, right, the media, the mainstream narrative, the government, healthcare, pharmaceutical companies have been perpetuating fear with the current crisis. And, right, so in response to my friend's comment, how can they be so stupid? They're not stupid, right? They're highly intelligent individuals, right? If they hang out with us, they're bright individuals. They have common sense. But when we go into fear response, right, which is an on or off response, right? It's one or the other. It's not either or, and there are no degrees of fear response, right? You're either in fear response or you're not. And many of our friends and loved ones have been in fear response for the past 15 months. So when you're in fear response, you can't think clearly, you can't think critically, because when our stress response gets turned on, what happens is that everything that we need to fight or run is amped up, right? So energy and blood flow is rushed to our large extremities, right? Our arms and our legs, so we can fight the threat or run away from the threat. Everything else that we don't need for stress response, right, to run or fight is turned off, right? So our digestion system, for example, and our thinking process, right? Because we don't need to be able to solve a problem or think critically in order to escape a threat. All we need to be able to do is figure out, how am I going to run away from the threat, right? I'm either going to run away from the threat or I'm going to stay and fight the threat. And that's all our physiology and our brain function needs us to do when we're in fight or flight response. So our friends who have been taken in by fear aren't able to think critically. Okay, so they may be, which leads me to the next point, right, to the next thing that's going on, is that right, they're in fear, they're believing the narrative, that feels true to them, therefore they're responding accordingly, which may be in fear response, which has disabled their ability to process the information in a manner that disagrees with what they believe. Hey, Nikki, good to see you, beautiful. Right, so which leads me to the last piece, which is cognitive dissonance, right? So cognitive dissonance is when there are two opposing ideas and your brain cannot process the opposing ideas, right? So what that would look like in the current world situation is that, hey, beautiful, is that people initially believed the narrative, right, which is that we are in danger and that we should be in fear of ourselves and of others, and that the government and healthcare systems and the powers that be are trying to help and protect us, right? So now that what we're seeing, or now that what we know, or what we are waking, some of us are waking up to, is that that's not the case at all. It's actually quite the opposite, perhaps. And our friends who have gone along with the narrative are unable to process the change, right? That can't be true because it's just too much for their mindset to process, right? So if you honestly believed that the government and pharmaceutical and healthcare and pharmaceutical companies were trying to protect you, to imagine that they're actually harming you potentially intentionally or purely for the point of profit, right? Profit, control, power, then that's not something that your brain can process, right? It's cognitive dissonance. Additionally, what I find with some of my close friends who are highly intelligent, again, highly intelligent in people, individuals, they're far from stupid. They have a lot of common sense. They're highly intelligent, right? A lot of good has come from the world crisis. Right now, they can work from home, and they were able to be there, present for their families at home in ways that they weren't before, and that was because of the crisis, right? So they are unlikely, unwilling, or unable to get on the opposite bandwagon because so much good of the situation came to them as a result. And again, the processing of what could actually be happening in the sinister and the like the evil that is potentially going on in the background, right? They just can't or don't want to process that information. Okay, so this is just a couple of ways that our friends and family are processing what's going on differently from us. And it's how the powers that be have divided us. So what do we do, right? So if you're following me, what do we do? How do we deal with those people whom we love that have really, where the situation may have driven a wedge between us or divided us, right? So consider the bite, right? They may have been subjected to brainwashing. They've been in fear response, which has significantly impaired their ability to think critically, to process, to solve problems critically, and the cognitive dissonance, right? Like, to I know this is true for a couple of my loved ones, right? They just, like, they believe that what's been going on and that it's been for the good of the people, and anything different from that is just more more than they can process. And the last point I want to make, which perhaps might even be the most important, is that it's just true for them, right? So wherever your friends, family, colleagues are on the spectrum, it just feels true for them, right? That's their truth. That's their path. For whatever reason, they may or may not wake up to what is true for us, right? And for us, I mean by those of us who can see the evil and the sinister behavior that's going on in the world. And that feels true to us, just like we can see, they can't see it, right? Because their path is different. And I would invite you to treat your loved ones, colleagues, friends with compassion, love, and tolerance, right? Not necessarily in that order. First of all is love, right? So I've had to remind myself that, like, I love this person, right? Like, this person is dear to me. So we don't agree on this, and maybe I'll talk about at another time how this is important, and as a result, our relationships have shifted as a result of what's going on and the positions that people have taken. But today, I just want you to come from a place of love, right? Remember, and this is true for the strangers in your life as well, whose path you cross as well. Just come from a place of love, compassion, and tolerance, right? And bless them, right? You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to get on board with them, but remember that this is their path. That's what they see. What they're doing is just as true to them as what we're doing is true to us. And when we shift into that place of love, compassion, and tolerance, we actually feel better, and it's actually easier for us to deal with what's going on in the world. So it's easier for me, and I would imagine that it would be easier for you too if you can actually shift into that place of love, compassion, and tolerance. And the way that we do this, right, is from prayer and meditation, right? I invite you to pray to whoever or whatever you believe in to give you love in your heart, for people whose opinions are different or perspectives are different from yours, to give you compassion for them and to help you have tolerance for them, to give you the awareness to be able to say, God bless you, right? You're a human, you're my brother or sister. God bless you. May you be blessed, whatever your position is. We don't need to be in relationship with them, perhaps, and maybe your relationships have dissolved, broken, severed, or shifted as a result of what's been going on in the world. I know that mine have. But God, I like the word God, Buddha, the universe, Allah, whatever you believe in, energy, pray for, acceptance, love, and tolerance in your heart for what you're seeing in the world. I can appreciate that it's trying, right? It's trying, to say the least, and meditate, right? So meditation, it's important to do both, right? Prayer is when we talk to God. I like the word God. Let me know what words you like. Prayer is when we talk to God. Meditation is when we listen. And communication is a two-way street, my lovelies, right? It's important that we do both, right? And it's from meditation that our awareness will be expanded. We'll be able to shift into the observer mode and see that, oh, I see someone driving in a car with a mask on, right? All by themselves, right? They're driving in a car all by themselves and have a mask on, right? And maybe in that I will I'll be able to send them love, send them a blessing, right? Or everyone's going around talking about their injection status, right? And I can send them love. I can send them a blessing, right? It's from your meditation practice and prayer. That's God help me. I say God help me a lot. God bless them and God help me. Um, but it's your meditation practice going to allow you to have that awareness, right? To shift from ego, where you're attacking and dividing from the other person, into love, right? Which is a godlike state, right? Which is coming in from love and blessing the other person, which is going to only bless you, right? Because we get what we give. So that's that, right? I hope this serves you. And community, right? So community is critical, right? So I know what I also hear, and I'll probably do a live on this all by itself, is that get into community with like-minded individuals, right? So I'm off to my Make Americans Free Again meeting tonight, where my spirit is always lifted where I get to connect and commune with others who are on the same page as me, and I invite you to do that as well. Find a group in your area. I have a free private Facebook group. I'll put the link to that in the comments, which is Find Freedom, Align with Your Truth, and Reconnect Your Primordial Power, right? You can connect with beautiful individuals, like-minded individuals there, or you can private message me if you'd like to know how we can work together individually, I have paid groups as well. So I hope this serves you, and I will look forward to seeing you again in the next video. And until then, I'll see you in the gap. Namaste. Be blessed.